Hey guys, what is happening? John Denton here, and thank you for joining me on this video. Yesterday, at the time of recording, Daft Punk announced that they were splitting up after 28 years, and I'm not going to lie, it hit me pretty hard. And it's a strange one, because obviously they're both still with us, absolutely still with us, and they've not exactly been prolific in the music they've been producing in the last 5 years, or even longer than that. But I think as an encapsulation of all the craziness that's happened in the last 12 months, something as pure and beautiful and beloved as Daft Punk breaking up, it just hit. Normally I like to keep my intro short on YouTube, but I'm just going to let this one breathe a little bit. So what I wanted to do is just spend some time with an album that meant a hell of a lot to me when it came out. Discovery was a record that really kind of opened my eyes and ears and deepened my sort of affection for French house music, sort of house music in general, and it came out at a time, especially in the UK, obviously it's a French album, but came out at a time in the UK where dance music and house music and kind of electronic music was exploring different areas and sort of breaking off into subgenres, and there was kind of a new wave of club culture coming through. And this album was kind of central to that for me, but also it took you on an emotional journey that music typically in that genre doesn't, not like this anyway. But what's interesting is I don't think I've listened to this record front to back for at least 10 years, probably even 15 realistically. So while I remember the big hits, the One More Times, etc., there's plenty that I won't remember until I listen to it again right now in this video. So that's exactly what this is. I want this to be a celebration of Daft Punk, an unbelievable act, producers of some of the most legendary music over the past 2 decades and beyond that, as well as some amazing videos as well, especially the videos from Homework, like the funk, well, life-changing video. But I wanted to spend some time with this record, remember this record, I guess, react to it, and to say thank you to Daft Punk for all the amazing music. And of course, as always, if you did want to watch the uncut version of this, that is there on my Patreon, link down in the description. Okay, Daft Punk Discovery. I'm going to enjoy this, I think. Let's go.
One more time. One more time. We're gonna celebrate, oh yeah, alright, don't stop the dancing.
One of the things I love about the name of this record, and this song, which is obviously probably one of their most overplayed songs, if not their most overplayed song, but still works so well every time you hear it, just puts you in a good mood. Discovery, very disco. Not breaking new ground in saying that one on camera, but I remember being told that for the first time and being like, that's cool. And, you know, the disco elements that run through this record and then go on to inform so much of their future music, obviously, as we know, all the way through to Get Lucky, etc. But, you know, it's the central theme of this, and just to take those elements, the best elements of disco, I think, the 4 on the floor, the guitars, the groove, and add that kind of French house flavour on top of it and through it, and it just creates music that just puts you in a very special place, I think.
One more time, we're gonna celebrate.
There's a great little video that went viral yesterday from Nay, LMAO. He put the way Daft Punk flipped the sample for One More Time is still so crazy to me. Sample being More Spell on You by Eddie Johns, and it's just basically chopped and put together to create this sound, which is now, I think, arguably way more familiar than the original sample. You could argue not the craziest piece of sampling ever, but elegantly done. I just love the fact that that went viral on Twitter. Positive stuff about music is always wonderful to see.
One more time, we're gonna celebrate. We don't stop. You can't stop. we're gonna celebrate.
I mean, it really just makes you feel like robots just having a party, and it's like their understanding of what a party should be. A slightly sort of non-human element. It's something that you can't quite put your finger on about it.
Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time, we're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time, it's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate.
Man, if you don't like that build back up and that drop, I don't know what to say. I just don't think that you really love music. I mean, that may be an audacious and ridiculous thing to say, but I just don't understand how that could not put a smile on your face, even as overplayed as this song is. Man, hitting for me already. And this one I have heard plenty of times in the last 15 years, but I can't even remember how some of these songs go, so I'm really excited for that. Oh, this one's a banger. I was about to say something about the music, and then I thought I heard a song that sounded like a swan being strangled. I just heard a sound that sounded like a swan being strangled. I don't know if that comes through in a video. Just the way that little triple kick drum, I guess it's an angle grinder or something. Someone's always building something around here. Yeah, the way that little triple kick drum kicks in. The amount of musical information that is going on at once in this song is insane. The construction of it is insane. I mean, you've got disco, rock, obviously French house deeply in there. And then sort of elements of like almost classical music, almost as if that was an organ just like dominating a church or something. Crazy track.
Last night I had a dream about you. In this dream I'm dancing right beside you. As we jam, the rhythm gets stronger.
Everything about this, obviously, in some ways it's a cheesy song. Lyrically it's a little cheesy. It's kind of beautiful as well, but also like, obviously it's called Digital Love. It sounds like a robot experiencing these feelings. But also you have the slightly French accent in there, which has another layer of kind of strangeness to it. You have these beautiful sensations of love and excitement and blossoming feelings. Yet that's combined with this digital element that, again, liken one more time, distances it slightly from the human experience, but almost like it's a celebration of the human experience and the beauty of the human experience, but one step removed.
I don't know what to do about this dream and you. What to do about this dream and you.
Forgot about this breakdown.
Why don't you play the game?
Before we transition into the next track, which we all know very well, especially if you're a Kanye West fan, that is such an amazing song, almost faultless, unless you're in a real bad mood and you just don't want to hear anything that joyous and that beautiful. The way it deconstructs itself and then builds itself back up and then goes to that crescendo and takes it to another level. That solo played through this like almost like vocoder. I mean, you think about 808s and Heartbreaks, much later than this. Obviously a very different style of record, but you know, you're talking about those crazy guitar solos that have been put through. I don't know how they're built. I'm not going to try and pretend like I do. I just know the sound that they create. What an amazing song that is. Man, the drums on this track, you forget because the Kanye West version is so familiar now, that almost becomes synonymous with what this song is. But you forget like that opening minute of it doesn't even have that vocal hook on it we're about to hear in a minute. But just listen to the drums, not only that cymbal that crashes through, that runs through on the 4, which is, you know, a rare sound of almost like a live drum sound. But the craziness going on with the kick drum, creating all sorts of like syncopation and pulling back out of it.
Do it makes us harder, better, faster, stronger. Work it harder, make it better. Do it faster, makes us stronger. Makes us stronger than ever. Hour after hour, work it never over. Work it harder, make it better. Do it faster, makes us stronger. Work it harder, make it better. Do it faster, makes us stronger.
Now, I was just thinking about this song. I never really thought about this before as I was listening to it. I mean, there's kind of I think it's like an ironic statement on sort of autonomous working culture. I mean, they're French as well, so that's such a big thing in France. Workers' rights, all that sort of stuff, so big in France. Obviously, we're going to hear this computer voice, this robot voice, basically go nuts in a minute and break down, and everything gets jumbled out of order. And I've never really thought about it beyond just a good sounding track before, but maybe that's kind of a statement within it. That song's absolutely phenomenal. I forgot how good that original is. Nothing wrong with the Kanye version either, but wow, when it just goes all fucking crazy and starts jazzing out towards the end. I mean, that within the space, the normally confined space of house music, its rigid structure, fucking phenomenal, man. I am absolutely loving this. I hate the fact that these are the circumstances that brought it about, Daft Punk breaking up, for me to listen to this record again, but here we are right now. What a pleasure. Okay, right now, I don't remember how this track goes. I'm sure I will as soon as it starts. Oh yeah. That is such a crazy sample to kind of blend and build into a house track. I don't know what that sample is. I'm going to find out right now. I've just noticed that the brilliant bandstand, I hope you're watching because I know you watch a lot of my videos and comment on my videos, it's actually done every sample from Daft Punk's Discovery video. I will link that down in the description. I'm not going to watch it now. I'm going to watch it afterwards. But yeah, bandstand does amazing work. But this one is a sample of The Imperials. So I'm going to find the original version right now. So there we go. Every day's a school day. Yeah, it's not my favourite track from the record by any stretch of the imagination. Very repetitive, and I mean, even at 3 minutes, is maybe a bit too much. Still gets you moving though, doesn't it, after that breakdown? Nice warm synths to sail away on. Obviously very Air sounding this track. The Air, another French group that I absolutely adore. way they build songs and add layers to them, obviously it's a completely repetitive hook so far. When the 4 on the Floor kicks in, that takes your attention to that, and now these warm synths kick in, and we're being taken in a different direction there, within a limited frame musically on this song, but your attention is being taken elsewhere. Whereas in other songs, they just go crazy with the instrumental and it's all over the place and it's jazzy. This one's sort of within the confines of house, but still doing interesting things within it. Drum pattern's unusual for house as well. Just a little skip on a hi-hat and a slap of the snare. Not your typical drum pattern, especially 20 years ago in house music. I mean, it's tracks like these that just kind of get forgotten in time, but they've still got some serious magic. It's mad, right? So much of my musical taste is kind of formed in the late 90s, I would say, watching MTV2 as it was back then, and a couple of the other MTV channels when we first got Sky, as it's called over here in England, basically cable if you're not English. MTV2 played like a sort of broad selection of genres, but all stuff that was kind of left of mainstream, not super underground stuff, but stuff that you weren't necessarily hearing on the radio. It's where I first heard Around the World and saw the videos, and the funk for Daft Punk, also where I first heard some different hip-hop artists. Zane Lowe also had a show on MTV2 back then, and he drove this agenda of exploring different genres and finding different types of music and finding the art in all these different genres and just holding them all at the same level. It wasn't like he's a rock guy or he's a hip-hop guy or this. And that is definitely what informed my musical taste, because I always liked different types of music. Hey, the first albums I ever owned were Kylie Minogue and Jason Donovan. As much as I'm very much a metalhead as well and a hip-hop head, I've always had a broad taste and like different things. And even things that I didn't necessarily like, I'm always interested in exploring and trying to work out what it is that speaks to other people. And I think, Zane Lowe is a massive inspiration for that, because he is still doing that right now, but to a much, much bigger level on Apple Music. The amazing interviews he still does, still keeping that same energy, still keeping that same love for all different genres and exploring the brilliance in all sorts of music. So shout out to him and his show back then in the 90s. I can't even remember what that show was called, but yeah, that was game changing for me. And remember, this is it's not pre-internet necessarily, because it did exist. You were a kind of able to download music, about one song a day back then, but it's pre what we have now, where we have access to everything all the time. As easy as it is to access something, it's that easy to forget about it as well. Do you know what I mean? Whereas you had to be so much more selective back then. So when you found an artist or a band or a group that you were interested in, you took a risk spending that money, especially when you're a teenager, on the CD, £15-20 or whatever it was. So you had that deeper connection. I don't want to sound like an old boomer here. Listen, I appreciate the streaming era, certainly from a consumer's point of view. There's another argument when it comes to the artist's point of view. There are positives and obvious negatives in terms of the compensation, but positives as well. I don't think you can only go in one direction with that stuff. And from a consumer's point of view, it's obviously incredible. You have all of music at your fingertips. I literally have a computer there and I have all of music there. Just all of music, and I pay for it legally. It's beautiful. But at the same time, there is something magical about the physical thing of having to pay for an album and kind of pour through it and spend that time with it. And you can still do that now, but you almost have to push yourself to do it. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, rambling here. Let's keep it going. Come on. That's just energy and happiness in a track. Excellent track. It's called High Life as well. Bring in a bit of the funk on this one. A bit more sexuality, a bit more sensuality. Changing the mood a little bit.
I need you more than anything in my life. I want you more than anything in my life.
This song had completely disappeared from my brain forever. I could not remember the name of it. I couldn't have even told you anything about this song until you hear 2 notes of it. And there are so many tracks throughout my lifetime, and it's probably just as you get older and you just build that library of songs. But considering how many times I've listened to this record, that's crazy, but that's just my brain. And now, just hearing it, what an underrated track. I don't hear people ever talking about this track. A soulful, sensual, almost mournful edge to it, but it still has that kind of like robotic distance from it. Almost like observing human interaction and emotion and trying to engage with it. It's like a deliberate distancing that in some ways increases it, because it's almost like an evangelism of human emotion and connection. It's a weird thing that I can't quite nail down exactly what I mean. Listen to that bass guitar, man. Some like 16-bit RPG type of thing going on now over this like pounding 4 on the floor disco beat. Again, had completely forgotten this song existed, and it is very much an album track, but it's still a cracker. So I was hoping, what's the sample on this? But instead, meaning of the name, Veridis Quo is a wordplay on the Latin phrase Quo Vadis, literally, whither goest thou? Or, where are you going? In Interstellar 5555, the story of the secret star system, the phrase Veridis Quo appears as the title of a book during the track of the very same name. The Quo Vadis meaning would seem to correspond very well to this. This can also mean very disco, which can also be switched to discovery. So it is kind of the title track to the album. And Interstellar 5555 being the film that has all the music videos, well, not the music videos, the music to this going all the way through. Now, Short Circuit, I remember really liking this track, and this being one I would jump to on my CD. I can't remember how it goes, so I'm excited to hear it. Also named after the movie with Johnny Five the Robot. Now, that movie, unfortunately, is terrible. It's a terrible movie. I loved that movie when I was a kid, and I love the sequel. I saw the second one in the cinema. Now, not only are those films terrible films, but the second one is quite racist, because there's an Indian guy in it. But he ain't Indian. It's a white guy in brown face. Yep, that's a true story. Anyway, Short Circuit time. Oh yeah, now I remember. My memory was correct. That song absolutely slaps. The only thing that it doesn't do is, unlike almost every other song, it doesn't bring back that main fucking craziness, which is a shame. But what a track that is. I guess that is just the computer, the robot in this situation, freaking out. Just breaking down. The cut up samples, the little gaps before it comes back in, it's so Cassius, I love it.
What you'll find face to face.
Still bringing this energy and this quality this late on into the record. Fantastic track. What a record this is. I knew it was good. I knew old John wasn't going to let me down. Everybody knew it was good. But what a pleasure this has been to go back through this and remind myself, if nothing else, of the wonder and brilliance and glory of Daft Punk. And also kind of put myself back into the mindset of that guy at university listening to this record. But what I thought would be a trip through nostalgia has been more of a just realization of how brilliantly and artfully and elegantly and intelligently constructed these tracks are, and how ahead of its time it is.
It's not hard to go the distance.
I mean, this is the only track on the album that has a more human sounding voice in the singing. So I don't know if that is deliberate after the breakdown of Short Circuit. If I'm reading too much into things, probably. But I'm thinking things about this record I never thought before, which is fantastic.
When you finally get involved face to face.
Okay, into the final track now, all 10 minutes of it. I can't remember exactly what this is all about, if it's just a song, if there's any speaking, I can't remember. But before that, this has been such a pleasure to do, guys. Like I said before on the reaction, it's such a shame that this is the reason that it's happening, but it wouldn't have happened any other way. Just want to send my appreciation and love to the guys in Daft Punk. Thank you for so much amazing music over the years. Thank you for all the memories, the amazing moments. Obviously working with The Weeknd as well is a huge part of my channel on the tracks on Starboy, Tron, the other albums, everything. Less so Get Lucky, but we'll let it off this time. And then let's just round out this album reaction, this flashback reaction. First flashback reaction I've done, actually, on this channel, so let me know if you'd like more, because I do think they're valid, actually, especially as I couldn't remember half the bloody songs. It's too long, 10 minutes, which is ironic, because it might just be too long.
It's too long and much too long.
Now I remember.
Coming on, the feeling's getting strong. Too long. Can you feel it? Too long. Can you feel it? Yeah. At last, the long wait is over. The weight is off my shoulders. I'm taking all control, yeah.
A lot of house music that's coming out at the moment, like Joel Corey, stuff like that, actually sounds like this. And I actually kind of like a lot of the dance music that's coming out at the moment, the Jax Jones, the Joel Corey, that sort of stuff. It sounds good, man. It sounds like you just want to be outside in a beer garden, in the sunshine, maybe this summer. Please, please.
My mind is set so free. I'm where I want to be, to get the best of me. Can you feel it? It's been much too long. I feel it coming on. The feeling's getting strong. At last, the long wait is over. Can you feel it? Too long. Can you feel it? Too long. Can you?
Come on.
Well, alright, you need it. It's good for you. Don't move, you need it.
I'm telling you now, this is the anthem for coming out of lockdown. This is the anthem for our fucking lives coming back in the middle of June. Please, please let it happen. I want to listen to this song in the sunshine with my friends, with my family, with a drink. Ah, please, please, man. Wow. I was not expecting an emotional response to this track, but it just feels like it feels tonally perfect for everything right now. The sun is shining a bit today. Obviously, we've got the roadmap, if you're watching this time it comes out, that we might get out of this shit. Hopefully.
It's good for you. We gon' move. You know you need it. Hey, I need it too. Alright, you need it. It's good for you. We gon' move. You need it. Hey, I need it too. Well, alright, you need it. It's good for you.
It's crazy, man. I mean, that song is too long, but I don't even understand why it's so long. But at the time, nearly 20 years after it was released, to have that emotional impact right now, a dance tune, basically a dance tune with limited lyrics, and not a tune about getting your life back, but it kind of is. It'll be about many different things, but my God, that was like a real emotional moment, a real moment. Just that thought of it has been too fucking long. It really has been too long. And just the thought, what a beautiful album. The fucking joy and the human connection that is present throughout that album, and then the humanity that really breaks through in those last 2 tracks after Short Circuit. Like I say, I don't know if that's part of the concept or not, but I'm reading into it as that. I'm living with that. That'll work for me. I'm so glad I did this. Like I said throughout the reaction, it sucks that I did this for the reason that I did this with Daft Punk breaking up. And it still feels weird. It's like Daft Punk broke up, but they weren't even that prolific. Why does it hit in the way that it does? But they're just one of those things that have just felt like a constant, pretty much, throughout life. Like Daft Punk, they just make amazing music. The Robot Guys, they've been around forever. They make amazing music, they make amazing videos. They'll pop up every now and again. And the finality of it felt like a fucking kick. But if it's a reason to go and re-explore an album like this, which I do think is just goddamn near perfect, if you're in the mood for this, but it can raise your mood too. I'm not saying it's for everybody, apart from certain elements of it. But if there is nothing in here that can just, at the very, very least, move your body, move your spirits, lift your spirits, move your fucking frame, then I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever connect musically. But that last track hit in a different way. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching this with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, the uncut is there on the Patreon, as always, if you want to go through the whole record with me. But I just want to once again just extend my love and thanks to Daft Punk for the amazing music and the amazing memories over the years. So influential, so seminal, but still, this music is 20 years old and it slaps. And a lot of it's 40 years old, you know what I mean, the samples. Plus 50 years old in some cases, getting close to that. Amazing stuff. Guys, that's it from me. I need a minute. I'll catch you all soon, right? Peace.